Going live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we are live. Welcome everyone to another fun episode of Breaking Bread with Corey. I am your host, and thank you so much for joining us. Thank you all for your support. We have a great show for you today. I'm just going to set this baby up. Hopefully, let's see if we could set it up. Say hello to a few people out there. Hello, everybody. Hello. Hi, everybody's doing. Hope everybody's doing well. We have a couple of great guests for you today. Hope everybody had a great weekend. I did. I had a pretty interesting weekend. But yeah, just setting this thing up. Let's see how we go. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for saying hello, stopping by. Hopefully everyone had a great weekend. I got to play a little bit. We had unusually warm weather here in the Pacific Northwest. It was actually in the 80s. It went from literally the high 50s to like 80 in just a few days. And so now we're kind of coming back down, and we're going to have your typical Pacific Northwest weather. Thanks for giving me a thumbs up. I appreciate it. Thank you. Before I get started, I just want to say thank you again for all the support that you've shown me throughout these last few months of getting Breaking Bread going. It's been a real pleasure to have everybody's support and feedback, and it's a great time to actually be a part of this and be a part of the community, and hopefully you'll keep on enjoying what I bring to the screen. And like I said, we have two amazing and passionate guests that I'm going to be sharing the screen within the next 2 hours, back to back, starting right now with Miss Elle. We're going to be talking beer, food, and fitness all into one. Yep, it's going to be an exciting show. And then we have the lovely Krishan Lampley from Love and Corkscrew. This is going to be just an awesome 2 hours. I can't wait. I'm actually, for these 2 hours, I'm going to be sipping on Krishan's lovely wine, her Pinot Grigio. Good times, good friends. That's right. That's what we share. And that's what we do here on Breaking Bread. We sit around and we talk love and passion about what we do in the wine industry. I'm actually going to be pairing it, pardon me, with Trader Joe's Key Lime Cookies. If you haven't tried it, you must do so. Now it is, I don't even know if they're still around. I don't know if these are a seasonal item. I had these for a little bit, and I thought this would be an awesome pairing, and it goes extremely well. But I'm going to go ahead and bring on my guest. Thank you so much for joining and being patient. I'm going to go ahead and invite her and bring her on. So watch this. Watch me pour.
Hey, how are you?
How you doing?
Good. How are you doing today?
I am just pouring the lovely wine and smelling it. Good times. I'm gonna.
Beer already.
Yes. What are you drinking?
I'm drinking Julius. It's from Treehouse. I just got back from Massachusetts, so I did a little beer haul while I was out there, and drove through a nor'easter just so I can get some beer.
That's it. That's how you do it. Lovely.
Yeah.
And how is it tasting?
It's good.
Yeah.
It's very juicy. It's definitely hoppy. It's an IPA, but it has like some nice like tropical notes to it. It's refreshing, especially like for the beautiful weather we're having today in Tennessee.
Yeah, it seems like everybody's having some great weather right now. We're having lovely weather on the Pacific Northwest, and it just seems like every chance I get when I scroll, I see people out and about doing their thing. sipping their wine, sipping their beer, sipping their spirits, and it's just good times right now.
Yeah.
I think everybody's feeling good as a community. They're feeling warm and some joy, so that's great. And I'm so excited to be sharing this screen with you today.
Yes. Thank you for inviting me. I feel so honored.
I absolutely feel the same. I always say all the ambassadors that I sit and share the screen with, you guys are. I shouldn't say you guys. I hate using that word. I always say that, but a lot of 90% of my ambassadors that I've been sitting with have been ladies, and it's just been a pleasure. And I gotta say, you ladies are rocking it. You guys are doing your thing, and it's such a privilege to be sitting with you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
all for joining. Thank you for all who have just joined us. And just to give you guys a heads up, this is a fun show. We're about breaking bread, telling our stories, sharing each other's stories, our passions and love for the industry. Don't forget, if you want to ask us anything, you could, especially over here, you could go ahead and ask right in that little circle with a little question mark. You can throw your question right there. We love to hear from you. We appreciate it. Um, so why don't we kick things off? Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah. So, my name is Elle. My real name is actually Danielle. It's actually Daniela, but nobody says that right. They always say Daniel. So since I played basketball, I've just gone by Elle. So I'm Elle, and I'm a beer blogger based out of Philadelphia. And I love food. I literally work out to eat, and I go on crazy road trips for good beer.
That sounds like the perfect life. Beer, food, fitness, all into one. Some of us our most favorite passions. That's it. If you talk about working out to eat, to enjoy what you're passionate about, I love that. That's the one thing when I get on my bike and I spin so I can get those. I could have that bean burrito right now. That's what I'm craving.
Exactly.
But but I love it. I love that. How did you get started with the beer blogging and your beer adventures? What was the inevitable thing that got you the beer bug?
Yeah. So, believe it or not, it was like my weight loss journey. And then I became curious with beer because I was at a beer fest in Philadelphia. And the person I was seeing at the time was very intrigued by this one beer, Heady Topper. I'm sure everybody here knows that beer, and it's by The Alchemist. Hey, how are you? Thanks for tuning in. And I said to the person, I said to him at that time, I was like, why don't we just take the 8-hour drive and just go in the car? And if you want this beer so bad, let's just go get it. So that kind of like started like the road trip, the beer travel adventure. And then I was actually, when I started this page, I was actually like 267 pounds. So I was like very, very, very big. I used to drink a ton of wine, a ton of cocktails, very sugary cocktails. Hey, Alex, I love you too. Thank you for tuning in, Puppy. And so I was like larger, and I started working out. And when I quit wine and cocktails, I started losing weight, and then I slowly started drinking only beer. And then the more craft beer I drank, and the more like exercising and like the health conscious with food that I consumed, I noticed that I was still losing weight. So I only stuck to beer. So between
Mhm.
that adventure to Vermont to try Heady Topper, and my weight loss journey, I was able to lose over 87 pounds and still be able to
Wow!
drink beer.
Whoa! I love that. I love that.
Yeah. So I was still able to drink beer, eat my French fries and my juicy burger with my one cheat day, and then I would, have my beer and my salad too, and just work out.
That's
So
awesome. That's awesome.
yeah, that's kind of how it started.
Now, what kind of workouts do you do? Do you do like hit workouts? Is it like a combo of like cross, that whole CrossFit to Do you do like running? What do you do?
Yeah,
What is your
so
exercise
that's a
cycle?
great question. So I'm really, really into yoga. I'm super, super anxious and I am like nervous all the time for those people who know me. So I like to like meditate and, I'll smoke weed and just do my yoga and I'm doing that for 2 hours. And I like to run. I love running. I love going on the bicycle and just even if it's like a stagnant machine and I'll just do that and I'll like watch my bad TV, my guilty pleasure, and just kind of work out. And then I do try to lift. I'm not really much into CrossFit, but I just started getting into lifting. I'm trying to like tone up, but
Yeah.
because the beer belly will eventually catch up to you.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I love it. Have you ever done I actually got the yoga bug during lockdown, but I tell everybody this. I can't say enough about this ambassador for fitness. She does yoga with Adrian on YouTube. Have you ever caught up with her?
No.
She's on YouTube. She's great. She has a dog with her, and I guess she's been doing it for several years, but she really got big during lockdown because everybody was looking for an outlet, and she really does. Her yoga is really special because it just seems like you're not even working out
Yeah.
and you're doing a really really good workout, and she's been awesome. And if you ever get a chance to look her up, she's on YouTube. I believe you can follow her here. She has an Instagram page as well. But I love the fact that how you're combining the things together, your loves, and you're making them work. And
Thank you.
that's the one thing that we always say. And I've always been very active throughout my entire life. My dad had diabetes. So growing up, I was always active. I used to run when he would get off work as a truck driver. I would go with him and we would run the local park. We'd do like 2 or 3 miles. And I talk about a kid like you talk about your energy, you're very anxious. I used to run with him and that used to just really kind of bring me down. And then I would be able to get whatever I needed to do as a young kid done. But doing those things of working out, getting your body, your mind straight, and then having that pleasure of, hey, I could sip on my poison, my beer, my spirits, or my wine, whatever you're drinking. That is cool.
Yeah.
I dig that. That's a great message.
Thank you.
I love that. Now you're on the East Coast, so have you seen a variation between the two? I know you're writing that you saw a few breweries on the West Coast. Have you been a big fan of both the two coasts?
I don't want to speak too soon and answer that. The only reason why is because I've done up the coast of California and I love California. I think it's beautiful. I
Yeah.
love the beer scene. The people are great and the outdoors, like the activities outdoors are just fantastic. And I've
Hmm.
checked out Seattle and I've even gone as far as San Juan Island, like off the coast
Hmm.
of Seattle. And I loved
Yeah.
the beer there because I
Hmm.
visited San Juan Brewing Company on the island. So that was pretty
Hmm.
dope. But the one state I need to visit before I can answer that is Oregon or Oregon.
Oh, see, you got to do that. You got to
I
come to
had to do
Oregon.
it. I had to do it. So before I answer that, I had to go to Oregon first because I feel like that would change my mind. I'm a little biased because my family's from Worcester, Massachusetts. So I was very spoiled with like New England style beer before it was like
Right.
a big thing. So I would have to say East Coast for now, but that can change because I haven't visited like the West Coast fully yet.
Yeah, I never knew how big Oregon had beers until I moved to Oregon. And when I saw the amount of beer, the first area that I actually went to visit was Bend. And Bend is basically the heart of beer, if you're talking about beer in Oregon. And then you have your northern areas like Portland that are doing some amazing things. But the Pacific Northwest, California, they're really knocking it out. Being a native of California and seeing everything from San Diego to Northern Cal is just it's amazing how many breweries there are. But even just finding out how many breweries there are along the states into to the coast, to the East Coast, fantastic beers. It was really interesting because I had a brewmaster, a female brewmaster, just a few weeks ago, and she's originally from the East Coast, and she moved to the West Coast and basically near San Diego, and she was saying it was very hard to replicate or do what she wanted to do because the types are so different. As far as the intensity levels, you talk about colder weather when you're on the East Coast compared to SoCal. So when you have SoCal, people want things that are more crisp and more refreshing. So I could see the differences, but it'd be really interesting to see like the comparison, like even of stouts and the heavier, more on the heavier side of like the ales and the IPAs, how they both differ from east to west coast. That sounds amazing. That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
So I know you talk about food, and I know you share that a lot throughout your page. Some of my favorite foodies in the world, I always say Anthony Bourdain. I love Stanley. Have you ever seen Stanley Tucci's Italy now? It's on CNN.
No, but I have to say I have like the biggest crush on Stanley Tucci.
Oh, Stanley Tucci just, if you guys haven't seen Stanley Tucci in Italy, it's so well done. It's Anthony Bourdain, no reservations on steroids. But I love him. I love Gordon Ramsay, Iran Sanchez. You know who Iran Sanchez is?
No. Educate me,
Iran
please.
Sanchez, he's from MasterChef. He teams up with Gordon Ramsay and is one of the judges. He's pretty amazing at what he does. And then Catherine O'Brien, she's actually on the East Coast. She does some amazing stuff on her page if you follow her on Instagram. But there's so many great foodies out there. What got you into the whole foodie aspect too?
So first off, I have to answer this question from Jesus Drinks Beer. Thank you for asking the question. I am drinking Julia's from Treehouse. I just got done doing a little mini road trip to Worcester, Mass, and then I drove through a snowstorm through Vermont to get some beer. So that's what I'm drinking right now. And to answer your question, what got me into food was I actually am a food stylist on the side. So I've worked with major brands like Whole Foods, Dietz and Watson, Welshire Farms, Garrett Valley, and I did a lot of food styling, recipe development. My family, we actually lost a restaurant due to COVID, but we were in the restaurant industry. So I worked every facet of the house, like in back end or the front of the house. If they needed a chef, I was behind the line. If they needed a food runner, I was running the food. If we needed a manager to be on the floor, I was the manager that was on the floor. So with all of that, and then I studied journalism in college and photography. So I kind of just combined all of those passions again, similarly like to my page. And I just kind of started taking pictures. And after working with like some major, amazing, incredibly talented food stylists from around the country and working in the kitchens for like social media campaigns with James Beard chef winners like throughout the United States, I felt incredibly like honored, spoiled, lucky to just literally be in the same kitchen as these people. And I paid attention. I asked, like, I'm one of those people that I ask like a million freaking questions, and I'm like, why? But why? I need to know why. Can you explain more?
That's good.
Why? Tell me. So I'm that person, and so like that kind of just like fueled my curiosity. And then when I started like photographing beer, I kind of just said, look, well, if I'm making, I was really into Game of Thrones, so every Sunday I would make like a really crazy Game of Thrones dinner, and I would just like photograph it. And then I was like, I'm just going to incorporate this into my page because I love to eat. Like, I didn't get these curves by eating salad. I eat food, you know? And I love to have beer and sometimes tequila and mezcal, but I'm going to showcase it and I want to share it with people because I like what I offer to everybody else, I want them to offer in return because there's an opportunity for me to learn from other people. And I feel like whatever I'm sharing through food and photography and content is what I've learned by just standing alongside some incredibly talented like chefs, my parents included. Because my mom, you know, she's Latina, but she can cook anything from scratch.
I love that. That's heart and soul right there. And, we just had a question about labels. You're drinking some beer, and I'm drinking actually wine right here. These are the two that we're drinking, we're sharing with you. Thank you all for the questions. And don't forget, if you have more of an in-depth question too, a lot of times I can't see it because it just scrolls up. Um,
I'll catch it
and
for you.
Al might see it. You might be able to see it easier. But if you get a chance to um, put it in the little question mark, the little cube with this question mark, go ahead and throw it in there. Um, I love that. I love that. Now, what has been some of your favorite foods that you put together, or like you've even photographed? Because that's an amazing thing. That has been one of my other things that I've done. I've worn many hats over the years, and I've been a videographer, and I actually shot some infomercials. I know it could be a little bit different, but infomercials pertaining to food products and the food line for like certain gadgets. And the way that these food stylists prepare what food looks like,
Yeah.
you look at it on through the camera, through the lens, and you're going like, "Oh my god, this is so amazing!" And so, how did you learn all that? Where did you learn that from?
So there's this amazing food stylist based out of Center City, Philadelphia. Her name, I'm not going to say her full name, but her name is Lisa. And she's worked along some amazing, amazing people. And when I initially hired her to be the food stylist for many of the photo shoots that I directed while I was working for major food companies, I would, excuse me, ask her a ton of questions, and I wrote every single thing down. And then
Yeah.
I kind of was super curious because she would literally paint on like the grill marks on meat, and like
Right.
it would look as if it's cooked, and I'm looking at it and I'm like,
Uh,
this is a lie. Like I really want this burger that's in front of me with bacon
yeah.
and
Yeah.
egg and guacamole, but you're lying to me because it's not even cooked. It's like
Yeah.
fake. But what I did was I just paid attention to what she was doing. But the difference is that I wanted to be able to enjoy the food after I was done
Right.
shooting it. So
Right.
patience, patience, and that's
Yeah.
not my strong suit. I'm a very impatient person. If I know that I want something when it comes to like food or a beer, or if I want to try something, I want to do it, and I want to do it now. That's why like I'll just say my mother, if you notice that she's always like with me on these trips, because it's
Yeah.
really just like her and I. And I'll say to her, hey, like there's this release that I really want to go to, and it's off of Hill Farmstead, like do you want to go? And she's like, okay. And we were in Seattle the one day, and I said to her, I was like, hey, you can come with me to this photo shoot afterwards, or I was like, you can stay with me, stay home, stay at the hotel after the photo shoot, and I'm gonna go check something out. Or it's like, or you can come with me. I was like, but it is a 4-hour drive and a boat ride to an island off the coast. And she's like, let's
Right.
fucking go. And I was like, let's go. So I mean, like I'm just very adventurous, and I have that drive to go. So I think that I just kind of applied that when it came to food styling, and I didn't want to lie to the people that I'm shooting the content for. I want them to see that like this is food I'm actually enjoying and eating. So when I partner with breweries and they're asking me to create a recipe that's like based on the flavor profile of the beer that's distributing in the area, I like really sit down and think about like what would I want to eat with this beer, and like
Right.
how can I make it so easy for somebody to make it at home, but also taste
Right.
like really, really, really good. Because for me, like I don't want to eat something to just eat it. I want to enjoy every single bite. Like for me, food is life.
Yeah. Absolutely. I love it. I love that.
But yeah,
That's rad.
that's it.
And I love how your mom is your partner in crime. She's your co-pilot in
Yeah.
a lot of your adventures. Tell me about that. Like, how did that come about? Did you just tell her, "Hey, mom, I just want to just have you come with me," or is it something that's planned? Or
Yeah, so we were actually. It was funny because I was doing a photo shoot in California when I was working for a food company, and I was like, I really want to check out Ballast Point Brewing Company. I was like, I like some of their beers. We're here. Let's just check them out. So we went there, and she drinks wine. So they actually had like wine. I believe it was on draft or like on the bottle. So she ordered it, and I'm over there with my light taking pictures and stuff. And she's like, my daughter, she takes pictures and she's so great. And then she says to me, she's like, you should start a beer blog. And I was like, no one's gonna want to pay attention to that. What are you, nuts? Like I'm like a functioning like light alcoholic. I like to have a beer and like photograph it, but like for my own photography skills, not to like showcase it to the world. And she's like, no, do it. So I did it. And then anytime that I would say like, oh, hey, there's this release for this beer. She doesn't drink beer at all, but she'll like, I'll come with you. Let's go. So she'll get dressed. She'll come, and she's very much into the architecture. She loves to look at the buildings because, again, like we're in the restaurant industry. So she likes to see like the decor inside, if it's industrial or like how does it look and like how is the service. And like I would say we're a little critical about that stuff. So like when we go, we're looking at that stuff together and we share because like I think post-COVID, I might consider opening up like a little spot. I'm like in the process of moving to another state and like planning all of those things from Philadelphia. So I'm thinking that my dream has always been to open up a little bakery shop.
Nice.
So that like might serve beer. I don't know yet. So,
that'd be rad.
Yeah. So that would be like something that her and I would venture into because we've had like 4, maybe 5 years of just like random beer trips. And like her and I, when it comes to Christmas time, we're pushing out cheesecakes from scratch, like for people because they don't want to bake them and we're making them for them. Yeah. So we're kind of like, beautiful. Do we want to combine these two things together and like see how it works? But you know, it's always been her and myself. I do have 2 younger brothers, but she's my rock. You know, she's my inspiration. Yeah. She's like the most supportive person. I just feel so fortunate. Like she's just like my everything. And yeah, so anytime I'm just like, do you want to do this? She's like, let's go. I'll be up at 3:00 in the morning. What do I have to wear? As long as I have my Spanish coffee, I'm ready. And I'm like, let's go.
Yeah. There you go. I think our moms have always been our underscored our co-pilots. My mom has always been a real true voice with a lot of things that I've done throughout the years, even starting this Breaking Bread, this whole project with Breaking Bread. I remember at the beginning of the pandemic and everything that was happening with the protests with George Floyd and the Black Lives Matter. You know, I was talking to my mom. I was talking with a few people, and my mom was really a voice. And she was really like, "Hey, you know, I'll support you, whatever you do, you know." And I think this is the time where you really need to. You have something to offer out there. You have a voice, and here's a chance to do something with the energy and the time that you have. Yeah. And so we always listen to our mamas, all the people out there that that have their mamas with them. It's like, man, they're so vital. They're so vital, and they stick with you no matter what. Their voices always stick with you, and that's great. I love how that little partnership, that little co-pilot is with you all the time.
Yeah, we were driving to Vermont. It was literally, we went to Massachusetts for a funeral. So I said to her the next day after we took care of like family business, I was like, do we want to go pick up some beer from Hill Farmstead? And she was like, sure. Like she loves the brewery. She loves standing outside on the field. Like that's her favorite part about the 8-hour drive to the brewery, right? So like we've gone there every single year for the last 4 years, and she'll just say, go get your beer and I'll wait right here, mija. And I'm like, okay, I'll go get my beer. I'll be right back. And I'll like lie. And I'm like, I'm getting 2 beers. And she just holds it, and we'll just stand out there for 20 minutes just like bullshitting because there's no self-service there. So we'll just like hang out and I'll be drinking these beers. And she's like the best DD. Like she's always just like, go ahead, mija, drink. And I'm like, all right, then you don't have to tell me twice, mommy. I'm drinking these beers. But she's always been like ready to go. And I'm fortunate, thank God has blessed me with like a remote job, because we were driving and I'm over here typing like 5 articles for this website that I'm working on. And she's like, we're driving through the snowstorm. We're going to get there. We're going to get your beer. And I'm like, you're the most supportive mother that like wants me to get like this juicy beer that Hill Farmstead's only giving 1 bottle for. We drove 6 hours for that 1 freaking bottle. And I was like, this is going to be the best beer ever. And she's like, I hope so, mija. And I'm like, oh, it will be, Mom. It will be.
I love it. I love it. So is that, would you say that, would that be on top of your list as Your most memorable beer, having your mom drive through that snowstorm for that bottle of beer. Would you say that that's the most memorable beer you have ever had?
Um, you know what? I think, that's a really good question. You have me stumped. I would say I would say that that is also that's a good memory with my mom. But I would have to say, since I spoke about my mom so much about this on this podcast or this interview, I would say one beer that like stood out to me the most was when I was in Monk's Cafe in Philadelphia. I met the brew locker. I don't know if you know her on Instagram. Her name is Jenna, and she's from Michigan. She lives in Tennessee now, and that's who I'm visiting. But I like fangirled about this girl. I was like, she's so cool. She knows her beer. She's so freaking beautiful. She seems so nice. And then I met her at this restaurant, this like really famous bar, craft beer bar in Philadelphia. And when I walked in there, I was like super nervous. I was like shitting my pants because I was like, this girl's like so cool. And here, like, we ended up just like bonding over like the office, like lines from the show, and just like laughing as if we had known each other for years. And again, like, God bless me again, because we've been friends ever since. And like when you just meet somebody, you connect with them instantly, and you just like know that like you were supposed to know them because they bring so much goodness into your life. Like, I would have to say, like, from that moment was when I was like, this is really nice. I like this. And like us sharing that beer together, I would have to say, aside with my mom, those were like the two moments for me.
Great. I love that. Great story. Great. I love that. I love that. Um, you said so much as far as the stories that you tell and how they intertwine with life, and again, the things that you're passionate about, the beer and the food. Have you ever had, besides the beer, I know you talk a lot about the photographing of food and everything. Have you ever had the same thing happen with food, like where you just had that memorable dish?
Yeah. So I was in Pittsburgh. Sorry.
No worries.
I'm in Tennessee, and like everyone's out. It's like a sunny, beautiful day today, so like everybody's out. But yeah. So I was in Pittsburgh for like the most memorable meal and like the dish, and I worked as a marketing manager for a major food company, and one of my responsibilities was to just travel around the United States and manage these campaigns for the influencers. And I would literally stand alongside these like amazing chefs and just watch them prepare dishes like from scratch for like 10 people in minutes. Um, and one of my favorite chefs that I worked alongside was Justin Severino out of Pittsburgh. He owns a restaurant called Morcia, and he's like known for curating the most like fantastic dishes. I feel like out of Pittsburgh. Like, and I love Pittsburgh food. I love their beer. I think they're great. But when I dined at his restaurant, not only like the ambiance is wonderful and the staff is great, but the food was just like so memorable. Like I love meat. But when I like tried his meat, it was like that's what she said. It was amazing. It was like really, really good. And he had like an underground space like underneath the restaurant where his office was, but he would like have just like meats like all prepared and lined up of just different kinds of meats that he would serve on his dishes, like dried aged meats, like meats that they were literally just like cutting up, and you would see like the freshness like in their kitchen as they're preparing these amazing, beautiful dishes for the guests that were in the restaurant. I was blown away because for me, I didn't know that food can be enjoyed that way. I just kind of just like put stuff together because I always ate healthy, or like I had been eating healthy at that point. I would eat like lettuce just so I can have beer, and I would have like salmon so I could like to eat healthy. But when I tasted like his dishes, I was like, this is amazing. And then another restaurant experience that kind of just blew my mind was there's this restaurant off the coast, I think it's Capri in Italy, that you can only get to by boat. And it's stunning because you have to walk up all these flights to get on the other side of the hill. And then when you go to the other side of the hill, it's this beautiful little town. But before you get there is this restaurant right next to this cave. And in the cave is like so much steam coming out because I guess like, I don't know if it's a volcano or whatever that's underneath, but it's like women are in there and they're like naked, exfoliating, like enjoying themselves in there and just like basking in the heat. But literally probably like 400 feet away is this little restaurant off the water serving like wine with peaches and fresh fish that they caught that day. And I think I was probably 18 years old and I didn't understand the concept of like what good food was. I was just excited to eat it and be on a boat. But I would say that those were the two most memorable eating experiences that just like blew my mind and made me curious about food and how to cook it, how to enjoy it, how to serve it, how to savor it with other like people that you shared the table with. Like, yeah, I would say those are the two moments.
Those are awesome. Like I said, you're an episode of like Stanley Tucci alone, man. You like the way you describe everything. I was like, I'm picturing myself sitting on the water, taking that boat ride, and the cave with the steam and all that. I was just like, man, I am there.
Well,
I
if
am
you get
there.
Stanley Tucci on your show, I'll have you be a guest.
That show is just amazing, you know, and just he actually goes into an area of Italy where they're making mozzarella,
No
buffalo
way.
mozzarella, like fresh,
Yeah.
and he's actually they're sticking it in the brine and letting it soak, and then they're cutting it. They're cutting this huge, big old like this big old flesh of mozzarella. They're cutting into it, and then they're wrapping it, and they're doing all this stuff. And he bites into that mozzarella, and I was just like, that looks just insane. And it's just mozzarella, but it's like probably the best mozzarella he's ever had, or anybody could ever have.
Yeah.
It just the way that you were describing everything just reminds me of that. It's just so amazing. I love that.
Thank you.
Um, so you're putting all the three concepts together with the beer, the food, the fitness. How is that going? Like how is are you getting a lot of feedback from like viewers? Like, this is amazing. I never knew that this really worked. You know, when you talk about your hey, I do my workouts and I drink my beer and I have my food. Have you ever had like feedback telling you like, hey, I tried this and it's working for me too?
Yeah, no, that's another great question. I haven't had like another person that like come in, like slide into like my DMs for lack of a better term and say like, this works for me too.
Mm-hmm.
I've had a lot of people say like, oh, just like stick to beer and like, don't do food or like, don't show your workout. But that, I feel like that would be hiding a part of myself because
Right.
in order for me to enjoy the beer that I want to enjoy, those two other elements are a contributing factor for me. So I want to be transparent. I'm not over here eating like a burger and pancakes and French toast. Those are all my favorite things. But instead of me going out to eat French toast, I'll end up making it at home so that I know what's in my bread and I know like if I'm like making it organic, and I'm also watching my caloric intake because I'm making everything from scratch, the bread included. So I have less worry that way. And like, so when people are like, oh, don't show your food, I'm like, I'm sorry, but I'm showing my food because I want other people to know that like you can have your carbs, for lack of a better term, and enjoy like your guilty pleasures. You do have to work for it. Like it's taken me probably like 2 years. And before COVID, I was at my thinnest, my strongest. I felt incredibly sexy and like very like feminine. And then when COVID hit, all I did was bake bread. I was like, I'm going to master bread making and I'm going to master like pumpkin bread and I'm going to do all this stuff. And then like 15 pounds later, I was like, it's time for me to start walking and running a little bit more. So I like started getting, I pulled back a little bit, but yeah, it's a challenge sometimes because I know people just want to see beer, but I don't know. I don't mean to sound mean, but it's my page and I want to show everything. I want everybody
Yeah,
to know
exactly. Yeah.
everything, and I just want to share it. I love sharing with people, and I want to hear that dialogue. I want to exchange in the dialogue, and I want to hear what other
Right.
people are doing too. So there's always an opportunity to learn from each other, you know?
Absolutely, absolutely. I think this is a great time. I always believe that since this whole pandemic started, I believe it was a handout basically for us. We could choose how we were gonna make what we're gonna make of it,
Yeah.
how we were gonna make things better. Like I told you, like I having that conversation with my mom, like, hey, here's your chance to pay it forward,
Yeah.
use what you have to create positivity. And I think that's the thing is, when you showcase everything, it gives people hope. It gives them opportunity. It gives them, hey, there's variation. I can do this. I can do that.
Yeah.
And even if I have my beer, which I enjoy and I love, I can still do what else I love in working out and having my food that I love. And the way that you share it, the key point, I love what you said too about, hey, I bring everything and I make it at home. When you make it at home, you know what's going into your body, and that's important. Let's see, and I think that's why, just not on the what I know on the beer front, but I know from as far as the wine front, the whole natural and vegan wine has like taken off because people want to find something that's not only better environmentally, but something that is going to help put more. It's going to be better for them internally too, for their bodies. So everybody's looking for that, and that's great that you
Exactly.
offer that information. It's vital. Every little thing that we could offer to the viewer is important. Our message is valuable.
I agree.
I say that to everything that we do. Whatever we do is very valuable, and I appreciate that. That's really great. Now, as far as we're in some interesting times. Like I said, I cannot say it enough about the pandemic and what a lot of people have done during the pandemic, created a lot of positivity, created a lot of opportunity. What do you see as far as opportunity, as far as the not only for women in the beer and the food and even the fitness industry, but where would you like where do you see as far as that happening, like even as a Latina, like what would you see? Do you see growth? You see possibilities happening, more things happening?
Um, I do see growth, but I think it's going to be very slow, very, very slow. So, for myself, like I'm a little maybe over ambitious. Like after this pandemic and when things start to slow down, like hopefully I'll open up a little, you know, cafe and be a Latina owned business. Because
Right.
that's a very big goal for me. Um, One of the things that I wish that I saw more of is Latino breweries. Like, so, if I did open up a little, cafe, I would definitely love to incorporate, Latino breweries that are, that highlighted, because I don't, and like black owned breweries too. Like I want to see more diversity. Um, and that's not to say that like we don't see any of it now, but I want to see more. I want to see
Right.
more. So
Right.
I'm hoping that through this pandemic, that there is an opportunity for growth. There is an opportunity for ambition for especially like the Latinos and the Blacks to open up their own businesses and to see them put their foot in the industry and stand strong and like offer something and be supported in the process, right? Because
Right.
that's important, right?
Right.
So that's what I'm hoping for. I don't necessarily know what's going to happen, but I would like to see that for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Definitely. I think that there's so much out there, and I believe in opportunity, and we have the opportunity right now to set things forward and to keep things. If we have momentum, keep the momentum going.
Mm-hmm.
It's very important that in that way, especially for the minority groups. You gotta. I think right now it's vital because I feel like everybody is is eyeing it. Everybody's paying attention to it.
Yeah.
So we should have that. We should support it and celebrate it and continue with that.
I agree.
It's important. I
Yes.
think it's just a main thing that we need to do. I love, you know, I always say this, but I hate that we have a certain amount of time on here. We only have a certain amount of time talking and sharing the screen. But I got to tell you, I don't want to forget to say this, but thank you for offering your time and sharing your story, what you have to offer, and your viewership, your viewers coming on and joining us today, and asking great questions and being supportive of you. That's important. When you have support in your community, that's vital. We all need to really support each other right now. But again, I really got to thank you for your time, and this has been really amazing. So as we start heading into the end of our little show, what would you like as far as what advice would you like to give to all the people out there that are like, I know you're heading into your goal is to start your own business, and have your own little cafe. But what would you like to say to all those people that are looking into that or starting their journey into the beer, or they want to trim a few pounds, or they're looking at creating their own styles of food? What advice would you like to give them?
That's a great question. Before I answer that, I think we had a couple of questions. One question, it was, I think, about low calorie beers. What do you guys think about low calorie beer craze such as White Claw and Truly? That's a great question. That's actually my neighbor. And Hazy Can joins. Thank you for joining, honey. I'm not into them. I'm not into the low calorie beers. I actually tried Truly last night, and I thought there was one flavor that was pretty good. So I'm open to it. I would say I'm more into seltzers, but I eat salad, so I could have a full IPA. So I'm gonna stick to that. But in terms of answering your question, I would say stay hungry. Stay hungry. Just make it an obsession. If you like, for me, when I weighed over 260 pounds, like, I thought I was hideous. I didn't think anybody wanted to talk to me. I was so insecure. I didn't want to leave my house, but I started walking slowly but surely. I started walking my dogs. I started learning how to eat cleaner, and I did the research, and it became an obsession. I wanted to know more. I wanted to educate myself, and I wanted to pursue something. The fire inside of me was burning, and I wanted change, and I wanted growth for myself. And there are moments where we become stagnant. There are moments where we're insecure. I'm in that moment right now with myself. Like, I'm just, I'm all here smiles and I appear confident, but everybody it's a face, and everybody's struggling with something. But no matter what that struggle is, and like whatever the storm is, and whatever things you're thinking about, the dreams that you want to pursue, just fucking do it, because there's only one of you, and you're amazing, and everybody wants to see you shine. And that's my thought on it. Like, so if you have a dream and you have an idea and you want to share it, share it. Like, don't let anybody tell you no, because that is not a word that you know in your vocabulary.
Absolutely. Amen to that. I love it. Al, it's been such a great time sharing this screen with you. We got to do this again. We got to stay in touch. I think it's important. Again, we got to support each other right now. We got to stay in touch and communicate. It's vital for us to stay committed to one another, and really be there and share our support and celebrate one another. And I celebrate you. You do. I love what you bring to Instagram. I love your page. I look forward to many more adventures. I can't wait to see you and your mom take more adventures. Bring the plates, bring the fitness, bring the beer game. I love it. Like I said, thank you so much for your time, and we'll definitely do this again.
I'm humbled and honored. Thank you for having me on your show and asking me the questions. Thank you for everybody who joined and asked questions. Steve, I see you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for honestly your time and just emailing me, asking me to be a guest. I was truly honored. I was like, oh my God, somebody wants to speak to me. So anytime you just let me know and I'm happy to be on. So thank you.
Thank you, thank you. And like I said, everybody, all the information that you gave is valuable. Everybody is
Yes.
valuable. Just like what you said, is everybody has something to offer.
Oh.
You have something to offer. Your voice is important. And that's why I asked you. And thank you so much for sharing the
You're
time with me.
important too. Gracias. Mucho gusto. Gracias.
Thank you. Thank you. Until next time, cheers.
Yes, cheers, honey. Have a good night.
You too.
Bye, guys.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining me on this first episode of 2. Al was amazing. If you don't follow her, please do. Sip on What is what her handle is here on Instagram. Follow her journey, her adventures. Her and her mom are hilarious. They do some fun things. The way she talks about beer, fitness, and food. She is the next Anthony Bourdain. She just brings it, and it's really fun what she has to offer, the information that she has to offer. And remember, this is the time. We have the time. We still, not all of us are out and about. We have the time to really concentrate and support one another, communicate and celebrate one another's endeavors. I appreciate your support. Thank you so much for not only joining Al, but joining me and supporting me on my vision. And stay tuned. In just a little over 5 minutes, we're going to bring on Krishan Lampley from, that's right, Love and Corkscrew. Just a few moments. Until that time, cheers. Boom.